Hello, everyone, and welcome to our brand new ConnectALL Product Demonstration webinar series. In this session, Jonathan McGowan, our solution architect and one of the experts of ConnectALL, will show you how integration between Atlassian's Jira and ServiceNow works using ConnectALL. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have questions during the session, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will bring them up after the presentation. We will have time for Q&A at the end. All right, without further ado, I'm handing it over now to Jonathan.
Okay, thank you, Marites. So as Marites said, my name is Jonathan McGowan, and I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at ConnectALL. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about integration and how we can employ ConnectALL to connect Jira and ServiceNow. So first, we'll walk through kind of the blessings and the curses of information in today's age. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we can kind of bridge the gaps between all the work and whatnot we've got to do. And then I'll cap it off with a ConnectALL demo. About me, as I said, I am a Senior Solutions Architect here at ConnectALL. Have a history in computer science and also in customer service. And then I'm an efficiency enthusiast, self-titled there. I love helping work with processes and really kind of helping people to understand how they can leverage technology to cut out some of the waste, not only in their work life, but also in kind of their personal lives as well. So in today's information age, information is now largely self-service. If you don't believe me, just Google it. You can watch videos on YouTube to figure out how to do anything. You can browse the company's website to find out anything that you want about that company. You can read white papers that they have. You can find blogs in any of your chosen fields of study. And then you can listen to podcasts in your free time on your commute or what have you. However, that's also a little bit of a curse. So we are also in too many places at once, and there are too many things demanding our attention. So in technology, specifically, it requires a large amount of committed time to research new technologies out there, and then to develop as well. The administrative activities and the meetings really take away from that time, and we really need help to make our lives a little bit more efficient. But the solutions out there really need to be easy to understand, set up, maintain, and scale. The reason for that is that we don't want to spend too much time trying to make our lives efficient, because in spending all that extra time trying to do that, we will, of course, spend more time trying to solve the problem than we would have saved if we had just kept doing it our old way. A recommended reading there is really about kind of UX, user experience. Is a book called Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Interesting thing in there is that at the very beginning, he says that humans actually have a smaller attention span than goldfish now. They only spend a few seconds on your website. If they can't find it immediately, or if they can't figure out how it works, then off they go to find somewhere else who can solve their problem faster. So in the technology world, in business, work exists in many different places. We can do planning in one tool. We have support requests coming in another. We then have quality assurance that needs to be worked on. Any defects we find through the development process, manage all that in a backlog and whatnot. But all this stuff is fragmented. If you want to get something out of one tool and into another tool, you've got to have one of those meetings that takes away from your concentration, where you would rather just be doing your job, right? You don't want to have a meeting just so you can talk about, these 10 minor bugs that have come through. You just want to get those bugs from one tool to the next. That'll save you time and, like I said, let you do the work that you would rather be doing. So what you can do is you can hire a robot to do it for you. So in the case of integration, it will slash the manual effort. You don't have to export from one tool and import to another tool. It can improve your cycle time. You would get something out of one tool and into the next in just a matter of seconds, rather than needing to wait till the next meeting to have any communication. you get immediate feedback right then and there. And then the biggest thing is that you can work directly in the tool that you want to work in. If somebody really likes using Jira, but they really don't like using ALM, then, well, they can stay in Jira and they can do all their work in Jira, and due to the integration, anything that they need to communicate can then just flow automatically into ALM and vice versa. Of course, it reduces human error as well. If we just look at one field and copy it verbatim from one system to another, then we don't have to worry about spelling errors or anything that was missed. So then we'll talk a little bit about ConnectALL. And so ConnectALL is a standalone tool that you install. It's pretty flexible in where you can install it. It works with both tools in the cloud and tools on-prem. And then it itself can also be on-prem or in the cloud. Very minimal impact. You generally don't have to install any plugins or anything like that. And then it's code-free as well. You don't have to be a computer science person or developer to write anything for this. A lot of it is just point and click. Again, trying to get you on with your life and working the way that you want to work. ConnectALL configuration is fairly straightforward. It is primarily through the UI. You spend about 10% of your time in the UI setting it up, and then the core and the integration core actually does most of the work for you. Again, it's supposed to be a time-saving, quality of life thing. You don't want to spend time clicking buttons and making things process and all that kind of stuff. You'd rather it just go. And so once you have employed something like ConnectALL, then you would get something that looks a bit more like this. So then you can connect your planning to your backlog. You can connect any incoming support request to your backlog as well. So you can kind of get this idea of having this place, something like Jira that could manage all the work that needs to come in for developers, from moving user stories into it, from moving bugs into it, and moving quality assurance defects into it as well, and then even having code changes post into there so that it can all kind of flow back to their systems of origin. When you connect it all, it really gives you more of a flow across your entire lifecycle. And so now what I'd like to do is we will do a ServiceNow and Jira demonstration. So here we have ConnectALL, and again, ConnectALL will be reaching out, and then it will be polling both ServiceNow and Jira for changes. If it does detect any changes, then it will synchronize those changes in pretty close to real time. So let's say we have a brand new incident that's coming in. We're going to say something like, someone keeps stealing soda from the office fridge. Okay. Is there a way we can stop that? And we're going to put this as a pretty high priority. I mean, that's a big deal, right? So then there's not a whole lot we've got left to put in here. We've got our impact, pretty much all the required fields here. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And then again, as I said earlier, ConnectALL will be reaching out to ServiceNow once every minute to look for changes that have happened. So this new incident should be picked up here in just a minute. And I could just wait for it, but I'm impatient and I really want to push that through right now for the sake of this demo. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. But again, it would do it automatically in most situations. And so once that comes through, we can see that right there. Now I can come over here to Jira and refresh my backlog. And then I can see that we have this brand new incident right here. You can see that my title came across, my description came across, a little bonus that came across as well. We don't have to set something like this up. It's just nice for traceability, but I had the incident number come across as well. So I've got enough, me as a developer, I don't like people stealing Coke from my fridge either. So now I'm going to, we're going to attach a script here. We're going to say, please see attached script for a Raspberry Pi monitor on the fridge. We're going to catch everybody that tries to steal code from the fridge. We'll add that comment, move it to in progress, and then those changes should then flow back to ServiceNow. So again, we can come over here to our ConnectALL dashboard, and we'll see that flow across here in just a minute as well. But again, for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and push that through immediately. So then once that comes back into ServiceNow, we can then come over here, and I'm going to refresh this. And we can see now that there is a new attachment here. We can see that my state moved to active. And as well, we can also see that there was a comment that came from Jira as well. So very short, very simple little demonstration, just showing how that I can create something in one tool, have it flow over to another tool, and then communicate right there in my tool of choice without having to work in multiple systems. This, of course, like I said earlier, is a big time saver. I don't have to pick up the phone and call anybody. If I want to report something, I don't have to wait for a meeting to talk about the issue. We can kind of keep everything right there in the tool that I prefer to work in. That helps you, of course, from a logistical standpoint, and then from a time, it helps keep your mental state all in one mode. You know, don't have to change screens back and forth trying to multitask between tools. So I can really focus on what I want to do right here. So that's it pretty much just for the demonstration. And then what I can do is talk also about how easy it was to set that up. So here is our ConnectALL configuration. We have several different tabs here we can do. So of course we would need to connect to both ServiceNow and Jira using credentials. Then we can define the scope of our mapping as well. So I can choose here. In this case, I used incidents in ServiceNow, and then I used bugs in Jira. And then I defined the project that I wanted to do as well. We have some advanced properties we can set up. If I wanted to refine the amount of incidents coming from ServiceNow, let's say, of course, I didn't want all 1,000 incidents to come from ServiceNow. I only wanted things that escalated to come through. I don't want to be seeing a password reset request every time one of those comes in. I don't want that to flow to Jira. So what I could do is I could put in something that says, maybe we need to see if the the escalated box is checked in ServiceNow before allowing that to flow. I can also control the creation. I can have it create one way or two ways. In this case, I only have it flowing out of ServiceNow and into Jira for the sake of creation. I only really care about escalating things out of ServiceNow and putting them in Jira. And of course, my bi-directional updates allow me to collaborate between the two tools. Finally, we can also set up email notifications. If anything goes wrong with this application link, if there are any errors on any particular issues, we can put in an email address right here, and then it will be emailed to that user if there are any errors. Then finally, the part about configuration on particular fields. If I want to map something, all I have to do is pick it from the left side and then pick it from the right side. Over on the left is my ServiceNow, and over on the right is my Jira. And then I click my plus button, and now I have a mapping. I can control the direction that it's flowing in. And then I can even set up values for each side. So in this case, I want to do several values. I'm going to do my critical to highest. Then I'm going to do my highest. I'm going to leave that as high. Then I'm going to do moderate to medium. We'll do low to low. And then finally, planning would be the lowest priority. So I have, again, I don't have to do anything special there. Those lists are automatically populated whenever ConnectALL reaches out for the schemas. We can do a number of different types of field as well. Short description and summary, that's just a string field. Descriptions are rich texts. state and status. So that's an interesting one because that's a workflow in Jira, but we can handle that just the same way. Same way we can just pick from that list there. Attachments were easy to set up. I just picked those from the list as well. Same thing with comments. We can map both public and private comments in ServiceNow and Jira. We can do that with some advanced value mapping if you so choose. Then we can also put in constant values. I have a reporter field that's required over in Jira, and so I can just plug in a constant value there to satisfy that constraint. And then also, here's where I had the number, my incident number, come from ServiceNow and plug into Jira. So we can see here from just this small little mapping, I can get a lot of information across from one tool to the other. Of course, we've got to have a name, but then I can also kind of describe the incident as well. I can see my state changes flow back and forth, and I can get immediate updates within ServiceNow whenever it is being worked on. So I can kind of I don't have to keep badgering somebody to say, hey, what's the status on this incident that I put in? I can just see it. It just flows back. Same thing with comments. If I have any questions, I can, ask my questions right there within the tool that I want to work in, and then, get that kind of immediate feedback back and forth. And then attachments as well. If there's any screenshots of my incident or anything like that, or any documents that need to be sent to help support an incident, I can just simply attach those. So again, that's pretty straightforward as far as setting that up. We have some monitoring as well. We can see our dashboard. Here's where we saw the changes coming back and forth. Down here, I can see the next scheduled time, and then we can see that it's at once every minute. We can go higher than that. And up here, we can see a log of all the changes that have happened within a certain time frame. So I can see here that this there's the change that I had in Jira, and it affected this ServiceNow incident. We also have logs. You can see we can actually get in and we can actually pull the logs from the server right there in the UI, so you don't have to necessarily get on the server to see your more detailed logs. And then also user management, because of course this is a web UI. If you've noticed, all this has happened through my browser. I'm working with ConnectALL in my browser. So we do have user administration that we can set up as well to give different permissions to different people. That's pretty much it for my technical demonstration. And now we'd like to open it up for questions. Just as a reminder, if you would type your questions into the question box in the webinar, we would be happy to address those. Okay. Well, don't be shy. If you really got any questions, or if nobody has any questions, then that's awesome too. So, if you do think of anything, oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question here from Trevor.
Okay, it's not showing up in my panel then. It must be going privately.
Yeah, will you host this again? We will record this specific integration, and you can access that from our website. Also, you will receive an email from us afterwards on the link to the recorded version.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Hey, Jonathan. I see some question from one of the attendees. It says, is it possible to get a value from a reference field?
From a reference field. So actually, yes, it is. So I can show that here. And actually, I've got something similar to that. I already got that configured. So if I wanted to, let's say, map up here, I go to my assign to, and then come to my assignee. So the assigned to is a reference field because it's referencing persons. So actually I can do something like that. And then if I look here, I can actually see a list. Again, this is a reference field. I can see all the users that exist within my ServiceNow. You can do the same thing for other types of fields, business services. If you have reference to another table like that, or reference to a project table, anything like that, we can pull that in, and then you can map those accordingly. Thank you for that question.
Great. I think we also have another question from.
We have.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
The question is, what kind of access do you need for the ServiceNow application? So I think they're looking at the roles, or probably the access that you have for Jira and ServiceNow. Can you address that?
Okay, so I can actually pull that up on our wiki. So for Jira, really all you need is create, read, and write access to the particular project that you want to integrate with. But then with ServiceNow, we do require some specific permissions to access the different tables and whatnot that you need. We do need a couple of roles with that user that you set up, and then we need specific permissions to different tables. Just for pulling in metadata, pulling in list values, like I showed earlier. All those little things do need specific access. Don't have to install anything, but we do need rules created for that user so that it can have those permissions to see those things. And of course, any table that you want to synchronize with as well, any of the incident types. We support anything that is derived from a task table or also the test management suite within ServiceNow.
Jonathan, we have a couple of questions here. We have questions from Mr. Lance Knight. Is it possible, he has two questions, so one of our attendees here, is it possible in SAS model?
In SAS, do we have a SAS offering rather? So yes, we do have, yes, so ConnectALL can be installed on premise. You can install it in a VM somewhere, but then we also have a SaaS offering for ConnectALL as well. And thanks to our user management, we can set you up with a user account, and then you can use our SaaS installation to connect your systems.
And the next question is, do we have to change our process to match some models you provide?
No, not at all. So, of course, there is an assessment that needs to happen where we can actually walk through and see which type of fields you want to synchronize. We can do that through an evaluation process and actually sit down and help you define what it is you want to synchronize. Well, we always recommend starting small and really just doing the things that would allow you to just integrate something from one system to the next so that you get that immediate value, and then you can iterate on your integration from there. That's what we do for both evaluations and deployments as well. So really, the nice thing about it is that thanks to our value mappings here, I don't have to change my Jira workflow or anything like that. And I don't have to change my ServiceNow workflow to match the two systems together. And so things like that would be determined within that assessment of your environment. And we can actually lay out any constraints or anything like that and kind of get ahead of the game for how we would hook those two systems up.
Another question from Roland, Mr. Roland Call. Do you have experiences with relationships other than one-to-one?
So all of these actual synchronizations here are one-to-one. So if I create an incident here within ServiceNow, it's going to create a single issue within Jira. So anything like that. There may be some conditional type things we could get into if we want to, depending on your use case, really. There may be some things we could do, but by default, you would get one issue type matching up one-to-one per mapping that you have.
Another question from Mr. Jeffrey Silva Carlos. Can ConnectALL be used to create projects in Jira, or is it only for syncing the data between them?
Just for the issue types, projects in Jira are more metadata type things. So we don't do that, but we do support all the issue types within Jira, even custom issue types there. And then if to flip side that, with ServiceNow, if you have a ServiceNow project, if the project is derived from the task table, then we can do that, because in that case, it's really more of a work item. It's not metadata in that case. But with Jira, it is more metadata.
All right. From Glenn Matsushima, I think this question was already answered. Where is ConnectALL installed? So.
Right, and that can be on-prem or in the cloud. If you want to do an AWS or Docker, you could do those too.
And his other question is it just a user ID that ConnectALL? Is it just a user ID that ConnectALL use?
Yes, so you would create a user ID in each system. In this case, I have an ID. I'm using the admin user, but it doesn't have to be the admin user in ServiceNow. I could set up my own custom username and password there. As long as I've got the right permissions, I can use that to synchronize. So ConnectALL is basically acting like a user within those. That's where we get the term hire a robot to do it for you, because it's kind of that robot logging into the system and then making those changes back and forth.
All right, so we have one last question here from Mr. Alejandro Galvan. Getting a value from a reference field from ServiceNow, is that available in SAS?
Oh, within SAS. That's a question I don't have an immediate answer to, but you know, it really kind of depends on you know, the configuration change there may affect different clients as well. But that's something I could find out.
All right. I think we have gone through all the questions. If there are, I think that's we can have this as the last one. We're getting into the top of the hour. And I would like to remind everyone that next week we will have another session of this product demonstration webinar series. And that will be on Jira to HP ALM integration. So if you are interested, you can join us again next week, or you could also forward this to your colleagues. And thank you, Jonathan, for this.
Thank you.
Wonderful demonstration, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and we will send you the link to the recorded webinar. Thank you so much and have a good day.